Welcome back to part 5 of my 4th of July 2023 fireworks show setup. And in part 5, we're going to make our towers. These ones actually might have been wired in series, where the other ones were in parallel. Oh yeah, this one is wired in series, look at that. But still, 12 in series, you run the risk of that not firing. Oh well, I'm already committed. Only reason I'm separating these is so that way I don't have the metal out in the field and I can recycle that before. So then it's just easier for me to collect the wire at the end of the night and not worry about the metal piece. Now we just gotta strip some wires on these guys. That way we can add some extensions. Okay, so this is, I think, what I'm going to do here. So these boards are from my slice racks from Pyroboom. So they sent me these boards with screws, and I just want to repurpose them here. So we got our waterfall effects. I'm just going to zip tie them. We're going to have to create a wire extension to put these in series and then run them to our module. I drilled holes in the middle of all these boards for the screws. So on the back of our towers, we'll just screw these to the back so they kind of mount on the side. And then we'll put our label there so the wire will run down the tower. There are two different ways we could wire this into our module, series or parallel. And someone asked recently for a tutorial on this, so I figured this is a really good time to show you what the differences are between the two. So using my wires here, I want to show you this as an example of series. So if you imagine these are both two effects, right? If you wire them where one end is touching and then these ends go into the module, that creates a series connection. And so this will show true continuity amongst both devices. So for example, if this device was bad, but this one was good, it would show the circuit bad because the continuity would be broken by the bad match. Now, if we did parallel, these two would be wired together, and so would these two. So now your devices plug in like this. The problem with this is if this one's bad and this one's good, because it's a parallel circuit, it would show that they're both good. So that's why, especially with professional fireworks, a lot of people will wire in series. So there are other benefits to wiring in series versus parallel. For example, if you're wiring in series, you can actually fire more items at one time. So what I'm doing is I've taken some old igniter wire here. I'm going to rip it down to one strand. Right now it's two. Is I'm going to wire one end of both my waterfalls directly to each other, and all I'm doing is just going to twist these pieces of copper wire together, and I'll put a little piece of tape over that when I'm done. And so what I've done here is created a series connection. If current was applied to both of these pieces of copper, these would both fire at the same time in series. So then from here, we're going to take another piece of wire, strip this out, attach it to these two pieces, and this will be a really long strand all the way back to my firing system, and that will create a series circuit. So if this one was bad, this match was bad, and this match was good, I would see it that I don't have continuity. Now on the flip side, if this match is bad and this one's good, and I see that I don't have continuity, neither one will fire because that series circuit is broken by the bad match. Where if this was parallel, and this one was bad and this one was good, I would see good continuity, this one would still fire and this one wouldn't. So there's some trade-offs there. I prefer personally rather see true continuity and know that something's not going to fire when I'm looking at my interface rather than see false continuity and have half the things fire. Oh, just another note. So I mentioned earlier shunting, and just to clarify what I mean by that. So you'll see that these two wires are twisted together. In theory, if electric current is applied here, that would not fire because it's shunted. Whereas if electric current were to apply here, static discharge, whatever, that would actually fire these two shots. So this circuit right now is susceptible to that, where these ones are shunted. Now, another note on that. Just because that's shunted does not mean that electric match could not go. Technically, static discharge could hit the match head directly, bypass that shunt, and still fire. So you're still running the risk no matter what. I just want to mention that there's some things you can do, such as shunting the wire to reduce risk. Yeah. I have 2 boxes of these, or 8 Spinner of Fortune fountains from Taco. I did a video on these last fall, and I was fascinated with how these did mounted on a ladder. So that's what I want to do for my show. These are technically ground wheels, but what I'm going to do is take this ground wheel and mount it on a tower. We just got to figure out how to do that. So the back here is plastic. I had a couple different ideas, attaching a board to this and then attaching that board to the tower, or some type of clamp method, and I couldn't quite come up with the best solution. Again, these are ground wheels, so they're not made to be mounted like this. I came up with one solution that's not super time consuming that I think might work Put a piece of scrap wood under here. Then we're going to take that small pyro poke and I'm going to punch 2 holes about where these circular marks are. I have a hole in this piece of wood, so that when I poke in, it goes in that hole. The same thing over here. Now we have the small hole, so I'm going to use that thicker pyro poke and we're going to puncture a much larger hole. And the wood here is just to make sure that I don't accidentally put too much force and go into the wheel itself. So put the zip tie through here. I'm going to use my pliers to kind of pull it through. I'm sure there's probably 50 easy ways to do this that I'm not thinking about, but this is what I got for right now. And we feed it through the next hole. There we go. Pull that through. The base here sits on top of the pole, zip tie around the pole. I have 2 more holes down here, so another zip tie will be down here. And then what I'm thinking is the waterfall effect. We will attach these boards on site so they're right about here. So basically the zip tie, if the wheel were to move, will not slip off of that position. And then if you look at it from a front perspective, you'll kind of see why I put the waterfalls on these boards, so that way they're out past the wheel on each side. And originally I thought about putting the ground effects on top of the tower, but really the ground effects being elevated aren't as important as this wheel being as high as I can get it, and I think that'll be really cool. And if this type of thing works out, then I'll basically try to make more elaborate towers in the future, which is can be a really fun way to make more unique, diverse effects in your show. Now we just gotta figure out the best way to light them. So here is our fuse, goes into a quicker fuse there. So my thought is, I have access to quick match, and we will slide this over the fuse, but we'll tape it, for example, so it's only touching the green fuse, and then we'll put our electric match in this end, and so when this burns, this falls, because it's only attached to the green fuse and not the paper. And then when we mount it on our tower, we'll mount it so the fuse is going down, so that way the wire and everything falls. This paper and the wire fall, and then that allows this to spin. I think that'll work. So anyway, I love doing projects like this because everyone has access to these. Everyone can buy one of these wheels. So if you see me do something like this, you might go, hey, I can do that too. I don't need to buy Proline stuff. Or let's hypothetically say tomorrow Proline goes away. I still love doing projects like this with small items because again, there's a lot of fun things you could do. How many times have you seen someone take a ground wheel and mount it on the tower? Matter of fact, how many times do you see wheels in shows? It's pretty rare. And the main reason I wanted to use these wheels in the show was A, I did a video on these in the past, but B, I went to Malta and they are all about mechanical wheels, and I thought, you know what, we should do more wheels in the United States. Exhibit A. Finishing up the last 2 wheels, and I noticed something interesting about this one. So this fuse goes clockwise, while all of the other ones went counterclockwise. Now I have 8 of these, I'm only using 7, so I checked my spare one, and it's also clockwise. So I have 2 clockwise, 6 counterclockwise. And so the only thing that would mean is that these are all going to spin counterclockwise and this one will spin clockwise. So I could just put him on the back of the tower so he spins the same direction. My biggest fear is I'm going to forget to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually switch these around so that way the one that spins counterclockwise is in the middle. If I remember to flip him around, then it won't matter. But if I don't, he'll be the only one right in the middle that's different than the other 6. At least if he's in the middle and he's backwards, it's going to almost look like I did it intentionally. I'll still probably not see that. Alright guys, we've officially postponed my show till the weekend after the 4th. Not that big of a deal, just means the video will be delayed. What that also means is there's going to be a part 6 that's going to be all about mortar racks. I would have postponed my show a day or 2, but unfortunately I had to travel for work the 2nd through the 5th, so that's why I had to delay it till the weekend after. I hope everyone has a fun and safe 4th of July, and I'll see you in the next video.